It's a beautiful night in Phoenix, Arizona, the home opener for the Phoenix Suns against the Southwest Division champion New Orleans Hornets. With Doug Collins and Craig Sager, this is Kevin Harlan. The Suns have started 0-2 from the floor. The Hornets 4-4. Stojakovic has already put in 5. Out there for the Suns, Barnes, Stoudemire, O'Neal, Bell, and Nash. Here's Stoudemire driving inside on Hilton Armstrong, who is starting tonight for Tyson Chandler.
Well, when in doubt, go back to that bread and butter pick and roll. Steve Nash and Amari Stoudemire, one of the most lethal plays in basketball. That's how they finished the game off last night against the San Antonio Spurs with a big win on the road.
Phoenix had just called a timeout. Chandler not playing tonight because of an ankle. Here comes Paul to drive right inside on Barnes. Chandler played last night, will not play tonight for the New Orleans Hornets.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how much Shaquille O'Neal can play in this game tonight because of all the screen rolls involved, coming off a back-to-back game.
Nash over Paul, the rebound by Stojakovic, and the outlet goes to the guy who led the NBA in assists a season ago, Chris Paul. And they got Barnes on him. That would surprise some, and they got Nash watching Stojakovic here.
Well, they want to use the speed and quickness and size of Matt Barnes as Mo Peterson. This is contagious right now. I mean, when they see the Suns, their eyes light up. Last year, they were 4-0 against the Suns, shot 45% from 3 in the 4 games, and averaged about 118 points a game.
Here's O'Neal inside, and his first shot is up and in, working on the smaller Hilton Armstrong. So the Hornets have started 6-6 and 2 of 2 from above, beyond the three-point arc.
Well, Shaq had a good night last night in San Antonio, 15 points and 13 rebounds.
Armstrong, who is guarded by Nash, knocked away by Shaquille O'Neal. Outlet to Steve Nash, number 2 in assists this season ago, and back at Paul. Inside, he knifes his way to the rack. That's a foul called on the Hornets. Looks like Mo Peterson's going to pick it up now in his second season with New Orleans.
Well, as people are watching the Suns this year, they say, what kind of fast-breaking team are they going to be? We've heard that they're going to be more in the half court. Well, on every possession that's a live ball, when they get a steal, a shot block, or something like that, a missed field, they're going to run, and they're going to run selectively. And Terry Porter says if you don't have layups, pull the ball back out, run the set offense. But when the game is on the line, I expect Steve Nash to have that ball in his hands and run some kind of pick and roll with either he and Amari Stoudemire or possibly Shaquille O'Neal if he's in the game. And you're going to go to your strength, and that's exactly what the Suns did last night against the Spurs.
Well, kind of sounds like maybe it's the Steve Nash we grew to know so well under Mike D'Antoni, but there have been some adjustments here in Phoenix.
Absolutely, but you know, when you're going to win the game, Kevin, you're going to go back. We talked about comfort level. You're going to go back to what's comfortable and what the guys do well, and they do it as well as any team in the league, as does New Orleans with Chris Paul.
Stojakovic from way outside over Nash, missing the 3. Rebound by Barnes in his first year with Phoenix from Golden State as a free agent. Stoudemire in on West. Amari Stoudemire plowing inside. He's got 4.
There's got a little bit of that selective running. Long rebound. They get out and go. Looked like the Suns were playing almost a little bit of a zone defense on the last possession, trying to force the Chris Paul to stay on the perimeter and not be able to get in the lane where he breaks down the defense.
Here's West outside over Stoudemire. Rebound by Shaq, and here comes Nash once again. It's Barnes inside, finding Shaq. Knocked away by Chris Paul. Again, he led the league in steals a season ago into the backpedaling Nash. And lost it as he went inside. New Orleans, Doug, beat Phoenix all 4 meetings a season ago, as we talked about.
And some incredible games. How about one of the games, 132-130 in double overtime in that game? Chris Paul only had 42 points, 9 assists, and 8 steals. Not a bad night. Not a bad 2 weeks, really.
Sounds like a Doug Collins line back with the 76ers.
No, I only wish. Here's a little bit of that half-court set.
Bell over Peterson. Rebound by Armstrong. Bell coming off a down year shooting a season ago.
They need his energy. I thought last night he was a little flat in that game. They need him to pick up. He's so important to their defense.
Barnes trying to watch Paul, who goes inside. And that'll be a foul on the play, and it goes on Matt Barnes. So 7:06 to play here in the first quarter. Chris Paul will be at the free throw line. A season ago, a 85% free throw shooter. And here are some of your keys for tonight's game.
Well, we talked about a transition defense, 3-point shooting. We've already seen New Orleans knock down a couple. The bench charge. And this is going to sound funny, but last night the Phoenix Suns benched 42 points, plus 18 off the bench. That's going to be vital. I think Byron Scott is still trying to figure out his bench, and then point to point, Hall and Nash, two of the best point guards in the NBA. When the game is on the line, they're going to have the ball, and they're going to be the decision makers.
Hall had 21 points and 11 assists last night in their win of 5 in Oakland against the Golden State Warriors. Here's Nash into Paul. Barnes outside over Stojakovic for 3. Matt Barnes, 2 years ago, he was a terrific player for Golden State.
Yeah, great pickup, though. He gives him some versatility, and it's going to be a foul here, but there's going to be a technical foul as well.
Too. Yeah, little chicken wing came up there from Barnes.
Matt Barnes has got some toughness now, some energy. He brought an edge to that Golden State team. And Kevin, you were talking about his last season, and it was a tough year for him. He lost his mother early in the year. Reading the articles today, she was my best friend, and I just never could get through it last year. And here's that 3, something he did so well for Golden State. And he's a good defender. He's a high-energy guy. More importantly, he allows Grant Hill now to come off the bench. Grant Hill last night only played 20 minutes in that game off the bench, but he was 6 of 8 from the floor for 13 points. So if they can keep Grant Hill fresh, and Matt Barnes and Raja Bell, I think, are the 2 guys with this starting group that bring a defensive edge to this team.
Stoudemire got the tee, got the personal. Here comes Paul working around a Hilton Armstrong screen. Here it is, a 6'7" Barnes watching Chris Paul. Shaquille came out to defend. Rebound by Steve Nash. 2-time MVP Nash. Inside to Shaq against Armstrong. Shaq looked good last night, Doug, and already he has started 2-2 with a couple rebounds and 4 points tonight for the Suns.
Well, when he gets that ball that deep in the lane, I mean, Hilton Armstrong has to take a foul to do something. You can't let Shaq just lay the ball in the basket. He's done that twice now here early in this first quarter.
Trap Peterson outside as West. Barnes rotates now out to David West. That is Xavier who puts it in. The Hornets, up until that hit, had missed 4 consecutive shots.
I love David West. You talk about a guy just quietly going out and getting the job done. This guy is a great competitor.
And improving year by year.
Absolutely. All-star, well-deserved last year. Was a huge part of this team being a 56-win team and getting to the conference semifinals where they lost in 7 to San Antonio on their home court.
And a Paul and Nash by West. Knocked away with a great rejection by Armstrong, former Big East Defensive Player of the Year. Into Barnes. It's Paul missing. Out to Stojakovic for 3. Again guarded by Barnes. And he knocks it in. Stojakovic puts it down. That is a 2. He's got 8. It's Nash to Shaq. Armstrong was reaching in and draws the foul. Stojakovic there as well. And we'll see if they put the foul on as they confer on the floor.
Look at Shaq. He gets it deep into the post, just seals Hilton Armstrong down low, and there's nothing you can do unless you're going to take a foul. Now, with Hilton Armstrong, it might be he doesn't have to take those fouls tonight, because with no Tyson Chandler, he might have to play heavy minutes tonight. Melvin Ely is their other big man over on the bench. But this could be one of those games with Tyson Chandler out that Hilton Armstrong has to be a little bit more smart with his fouls.
Armstrong picks up the personal foul. Last night, Shaquille O'Neal, when he was shooting free throws in San Antonio, was 5 of 8. The hack of Shaq was in full display, too, from San Antonio coach Greg Popovich.
Well, it was a great moment last night on the opening tip. The Suns controlled the tip, and Michael Finley went over and immediately, with about 5 seconds gone, just wrapped up Shaq, and Shaq looked over to Greg Popovich, and they both smiled and gave double thumbs up. But they fouled Shaq 4 straight times in the second quarter, did the hack of Shaq. He shot 8 straight free throws and made 5 of them. Mike
James has just come in for Paul over Stoudemire. It's West. Rebound by Barnes. We're under 5 to play. We're going to keep track here and see what the New Orleans Hornets do without Paul on the floor. Stoudemire grinding inside against West. Amari Stoudemire's got 6, and Shaq has 4. 10 of Phoenix's 14 have come from that big front line.
Well, Mike James in the game here early. This is by design. Chris Paul will come back in with his second unit and lead, and Byron Scott wants Mike James to be able to play with the starters and have some success early in the game.
James got traded here from Houston middle of last season. Shot clock is at 2. West over Barnes and Nash. Rebound by Shaq. And here comes Nash. Barnes, a 3.
What a great addition. What a great addition. I love his energy, his toughness, his versatility. You see him guarding Chris Paul early in the game. And so Matt Barnes helping this team get back into the ball game after digging a 9-0 hole. They now have climbed back to within 4.
Paul's got 6 for Stoudemire. Both teams shooting over 50%. It's game 2 of our TNT National NBA doubleheader.
Welcome back to Phoenix. New Orleans up by 4 without Tyson Chandler. Now, Chandler played last night at Golden State. Very effective. 13 points, 16 rebounds, 37 minutes. The coaching staff, when they met today, figured they're going to have Tyson Chandler as a major component at both ends of the court. He taped up, went out and had warm-ups tonight. It wasn't until just before they took the floor that Chandler decided that he could not go, did not have any lift or any lateral movement. So Byron Scott and his coaching staff at another coaches meeting changed the game plan, decided offensively they could do much the same, but defensively they said we better have to work on our zone because without Chandler in there, you may see a lot of that in the second half. Kevin?
Good stuff, Craig. Thank you very much. James Posey has come in for the New Orleans Hornets, and he is in there trying to grab that loose ball, and the shot by James, who gets it back, and a fresh shot clock with which to work for the Hornets. Here's Stojakovic. Now they got David West, who is picked up by newly instated Boris Diaw, taking the place of Shaq. West with the miss. Tipping good. Around Stoudemire was Hilton Armstrong.
Well, one of the keys for New Orleans season is to be what kind of bench production are they going to get, Kevin? Last year, 24 points off their bench, which was 29th in the league, only behind Charlotte as Stevie Nash unloads the long 3-ball.
And a good screen by Stoudemire.
But they're going to have some bench production. That's one of the areas that concerns me a little bit. Other than James Posey, there's a lot of question marks on that New Orleans bench that Byron Scott's going to have to figure out as the season goes on. Now, this is not a question mark here.
They're talking about a 2-time NBA long shooting champion. Yeah. 11 points now for Stojakovic.
That's catching fire right there.
And again, Diaw taking the place of Shaq, and Posey is in for Mel Peterson. There's a good screen by Stoudemire. Nice rejection by Hilton Armstrong, and picked up by Mike James. 2 blocks now for Armstrong.
So more of a conventional defense now with Paul out. You now have Nash guarding the point guard.
West inside looking for Stojakovic, and Barnes trying to intercept that ball. Knocked away on the play, and a foul is called on Barnes for the second time.
Well, Matt Barnes is upset on this possession here. He goes underneath that screen, and Pazier reads it well and steps back, and you let him catch and sort of lean to that left, and he is so deadly. Matt Barnes upset also, too, with the foul. But a good start now as Grant Hill has come into the game. So Phoenix now coming in. You think of their bench. I mean, Grant Hill, a 7-time All-Star. Boris Diaw, one time the most improved player in the league. We're going to see Leandro Barbosa later. He was the 6th man of the year. So now a very potent Phoenix Suns bench.
Hill for Barnes. Melvin Eli has just come in for Hilton Armstrong. Here is West, picked up by Grant Hill. Doug just talked about him. And West finds it inside.
That's a tough matchup for Grant Hill. David West, so big and strong. I don't know how Grant got switched off to him, but that should have been Boris Diaw's cover.
Suns have never led. Hornets have been up by as many as 12. Here's a try by Nash, but right by James. And lets it fly inside. Nash in the game, 1 of 3 for 3.
Oh, you see a play like that, and you go, what happened? What happens is they got no help from their big man. Melvin Eli's got to step out there and redirect Steve Nash. Just let him go right to the rim.
Defensive switch. Now Hill is on West. And David West. Eli can't hold on to the ball, and a shove inside. A whistle blown by Kenny Maurer out there with Joe Forte and David Guthrie. Those are the 3 officials tonight here in Phoenix for our game, Suns and Hornets.
Well, this is David West just taking his time. Now, Byron Scott is a matchup coach. He's going to look out there to see what he likes, and with this unit, he likes David West if Grant Hill is going to cover him. And Grant Hill now has switched back over to Stojakovic, and now you see Diaw, who's bigger and stronger, will be playing against David West.
Aja Bell is out. Barbosa has checked in for the Phoenix Suns. Stojakovic over Hill. Rebound by Boris Diaw, playing that power forward at 6'8". Screen by Stoudemire, pick and roll. Nice ball rotation. Diaw outside to Barbosa. Took it over Eli. Rebound picked up inside by Peja Stojakovic. Kind of remade their Hornet team a couple summers ago. They got Stojakovic in a trade, and they also got Tyson Chandler in a deal with the Chicago Bulls. Posey over Diaw. Rebound by Stoudemire. First rebound by Amari. James is on Nash. A Stoudemire's screen. Diaw moved, and the ball sails out of bounds.
Steve Nash thought he was fouled on the play. But, Kevin, I want to talk a little bit about the Phoenix Suns defense. If people want to know what they're trying to do different, one of the things there on all the screen rolls is to keep it to the outside of the floor. So as you're watching the game, they really jump to the side where they sort of influence to the baseline and try to keep that ball out of the middle of the floor where you get those guards in the lane that creates all kinds of problems.
Limit their space.
Exactly, and take away those little driving kicks to the opposite side for threes.
Dragic has just checked in for the Phoenix Suns, taking Nash's position. Hornets have a foul to give. And Diaw throws it away as he was trying to go to Stoudemire. Turnover number 5 for the Phoenix Suns.
That's a real difference in the game right now. 5 turnovers that have led to 7 points. The Phoenix Suns have no points off turnovers. So one of the things about the New Orleans Hornets is they don't turn the ball over much. They averaged 12 turnovers a game last year, and that's because Chris Paul has the ball all the time, and he takes great care of the ball.
Rasul Butler has just checked in the game 2 now, taking Stojakovic's place. James over Dragic, who gets the loose ball. He is a rookie out of Slovenia, a second-round draft choice, and he comes the other way. And down to the final 10 seconds of this first quarter.
A very, very good quarter here for the New Orleans Hornets.
Here's Grant Hill. Posey defending. Hill with the left hand. Second remains in the quarter and a foul.
One of the things you're going to see also with this second unit is Grant Hill gives them a real calmness. I coached Grant in Detroit, and I want to tell you, he was my point guard, Kevin. And you put the ball in his hands and making plays. In 1996-97, he was third in the league in MVP voting and won the award for the guy who was most valuable to his team. And you can just see Grant Hill, and you think about all those years he lost in Orlando. This guy's a Hall of Fame player if he stayed healthy. 2 championships at Duke. Got second his senior year, and Wells was on his way to the Hall of Fame until the injuries, and it's good to see him back. But they love Grant Hill with this second unit to help stabilize, especially when Dragic is on the floor to help him.
Will not count even if it went. West had picked up his first foul. That had sent the Suns to the line. The Suns are only 2 of 6 from the free throw line. And a 48% shooting first quarter for the Hornets. They got 11 from Stojakovic, who nailed a few with 3. And moments ago, our Craig Sager talked with last season's NBA Coach of the Year, Byron Scott of New Orleans.
Well, Coach, with Tyson Chandler, late minute scratch, kind of worried, but you jump out to a 9-0 lead in a 30-point quarter. What's working so well for you?
Guys are just playing hard. You got to give Hilton some credit. He came prepared tonight. I know it's a big task to have to guard against Shaq, but, we're doing the things that we want to do offensively and defensively. We just got to tighten it up a little bit more on the defense, especially transition-wise.
You're giving Hilton Armstrong some credit. Last year he had a good preseason, but then did get in the rotation. Right. What's different this year? Well,
I think maturity. He's gotten a little bit more experience at the game, so he's playing a little bit better, and I think he's playing with a little bit more confidence right now. Thank you.
Well, just to follow up on what Byron Scott was talking to Craig Sager about, they do have the 8-point lead, Kevin, but concerns are 56% shooting for the Suns. They're shooting 50% from the three-point line, so they're going to have to tighten up their defense. Here with Phoenix being at home, you're not going to give up those kind of numbers and win, so they're going to have to do a better job as this game goes on defensively.
All second-string guys out there right now. Eli's got the ball. Brown is out there. There's James, Rasul Butler, James Posey. That's the 5 for New Orleans, and a drive and a whistle with 6 seconds on the shot clock. Lopez, Diaw, Hill, Dragic, along with Leandro Barbosa, former sixth-man award winner in the NBA, out there for the Phoenix Suns. And Lopez, the rookie out of Stanford. Robin picks up his first personal foul.
You would think that Phoenix would have an advantage when you look at the benches of both teams right now. Let's see if Phoenix can cut into that margin.
There's some shoving inside. Lopez again was tangling with Melvin Eli. And that's a second foul on Lopez. That's a tough, rugged kid.
A lot of energy. Plays with a great motor, and you'd always, with a big guy, I'd rather calm him down than have to try to get him excited to play. So I watched him this summer playing against the U.S. Olympic team, and he's got a chance to be a really good player.
Here's Posey, played last season for the world champion Boston Celtics, and he's dancing down low with Barbosa. Brown bumped by Hill. Grant will pick up the foul. That's number 2 on Grant Hill.
When you look at New Orleans' team, it's interesting. Rasul Butler played for this team a couple years ago, averaged 10 points a game. Melvin Eli played a couple years ago, averaged 9.8 in 57 games. And Devin Brown played a couple years and averaged over 11 points a game. So a couple guys are on their second tour of duty and all played well here, albeit on a bad team before they were good.
National coverage of the NBA's Premier Week continues Friday. ESPN Bulls Celtics, followed by Spurs and Blazers, coverage 7:30 Eastern. Then Saturday on NBA TV, the Wizards and Pistons, followed by the Blazers and Suns. Coverage begins at 7 o'clock Eastern Time, Saturday on NBA TV with Doug Collins and Craig Sager. Kevin Harlan in Phoenix. Big lead for New Orleans has been 12. Suns have never led. Here's Dragic outside for Hill. Shot clock at 7. Lopez. A lot of congestion inside. Knocked away and picked up by James. 6 Phoenix turnovers so far in the game. James has been around. He is out of Duquesne now in his 8th NBA season. Doug just talked about his last trip in here. Here comes Melvin Eli working on the rookie Lopez. He knocks it away inside and picked up by Barbosa. Here's a 3-on-2. Barbosa to Dion. And that's a charge. Offensive foul called on Leandro Barbosa.
Leandro Barbosa is a great finisher on the break. He's not a great decision maker. And that time, with all of his speed, he should have looked up and says there's no place to go. 2 guys back, pull up at the foul line, and either knock that jump shot down or make a pass to one of my open teammates. So that's why Leandro Barbosa plays off the ball. He's a great scorer, but not a great decision maker in those situations.
Melvin Eli trying to drive inside. Lopez got in the way of that dribble drive, and Lopez has picked up his 3rd personal foul. He's only been in a minute and a half. He is making his presence felt already.
Yeah, but the problem with that is, Kevin, that's the 4th team foul already.
Exactly.
So now New Orleans is shooting free throws the rest of the way after the next foul. So, under Mike D'Antoni, one of the big differences, they wouldn't foul. They would give you that layup and try to run back and score, maybe hit you with a 3. And so one of the things that Suns always did was they were always a team that didn't commit many fouls, and their opponents didn't shoot many free throws.
Lopez will leave, and Louis Amundsen will check in. 3 years out of UNLV. Lopez, a first-round pick out of Stanford, and there you see Amundsen, who played last season with Philadelphia. Melvin Eli at the free throw line, 2-time WAC Player of the Year, 7th season in the NBA out of Fresno State.
It's interesting, 11 guys now have played for the Phoenix Suns.
Wow. Here is Dion, whose numbers have dropped steadily the last 3 years. Barbosa over Posey for 3. Rebound by Brown. Devin Brown is out of San Antonio.
Now you've got Chris Paul back in there with this team to be the rudder. So now he's going to be the guy to make all the plays.
Amundsen is watching Eli. And a foul called on Amundsen. So that's the first on him. 15.
The Suns are making Melvin Eli look like Moses Malone here early in this game.
Yeah. He had a viral infection on their preseason trip to Europe, which leads me to, Doug, what the Celtics did a season ago. They went to Italy and across Europe and played preseason. Byron Scott loved what that did, the bonding experience for the Celtics, and hopes it rubs off the same way it did on them with his Hornets team this year.
Well, it's guys have a lot of chance to spend time with one another. It's just basketball. And when you're free time, you hang out with one another, go out and have some food and relax and enjoy the sights. And that's exactly what New Orleans did this year, and they hope it's going to pay dividends.
Dragic. Got the mismatch on Eli, drives inside, had it knocked away by the former Miami Heat player, Rasul Butler. Here comes Paul. Posey flies in off the wing and got by Grant Hill and puts it in for a deuce.
I imagine playing with a Steve Nash or a Chris Paul. Man, when that ball changes in, just run. And they're going to get you a layup or an open jump shot. Just sprint on every possession.
Grant Hill on his 14th NBA season out of Duke. Doug coached him at Detroit, where he had some outstanding success. Amundsen, Diaw over Butler. 2 seconds on the shot clock. He puts down to 2.
Now, Boris Diaw had a good game last night. He came in, was very aggressive, and that's exactly what Terry Porter wants from him. Said he'd like to get 13 or 14 points a night from him. Last night he had 8.
Eli and Dion, that's a travel. Phoenix Suns are shooting 52.6%. Hornets at 48%. That's a second turnover by New Orleans. Chris Paul with an assist right here to James Posey.
Maybe the most exciting player in the NBA, Chris Paul. I know there's a lot of great ones, but when this guy gets the ball, he's a magician. had a great summer with the Olympic team and picking up.
State has been through a lot going back to August of '05 when Katrina hit. They played the majority of their games then for the next couple of years in Oklahoma City. Last year, all home games back in New Orleans. They clinched the Southwest Division title. Then they lost in that second round to the San Antonio Spurs on their floor in Game 7.
Yeah, but they learned a valuable experience, and you hear the quotes and all. David West said, we learned a lot from the Spurs. The poise, they never lost their cool, and winning Game 7 on the road, that has been a home court series throughout. I mean, New Orleans has won all 3 games at home by huge numbers.
Here's Grant Hill. Only starter on the floor for either team right now is Chris Paul. Dancing with Rasul Butler. Nice defense by Butler inside, and that's a turnover. Here comes Chris Paul with Butler and Brown, Eli, and James Posey. Hill, Diaw, Barbosa, Amundsen, and Dragic out there for the Phoenix Suns.
He's going right to the post this time now with Devin Brown. Nice,
great steal, yeah.
Nice play by Grant Hill to read the passing lane.
Here comes Grant into Butler, shoving it outside Barbosa. No one was on him there. Amundsen keeps it alive with a little volleyball tap back to Dragic. Love how these teams, Doug, are massaging these second units. There's a lot of emphasis put on that in the NBA this season.
Well, you know, the Suns have 3 sets of back-to-backs early in the season. They got a long road trip to the East, and so they're trying to get all their guys involved.
Shot clock is at 4 into Brown Barbosa.
As James Posey, that's what he does. Steps in.
So tough.
Takes the charge. I mean, you think about the championship experience he had with Miami and what he brought. Look at James Posey stepping right in, taking the charge. Once again, Barbosa a little out of control there, trying to go to the basket.
Barbosa picks up his second personal foul.
Posey was the big free agent acquisition. They felt like that he could bring that championship experience also from the job he did in Boston, and his rebounding, his defense, and thirdly for his ability to play multiple positions and shoot that 3 ball.
Here's Butler over Amundsen. Eli had it ricochet off his shoulder. Amundsen gets it. Here comes Leandro Barbosa. Missed a lot of preseason because his mother was very ill down in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Here's Amundsen working on Brown, and he carried the ball. That's a turnover by Phoenix. But Barbosa just found out that his mom was taken off a ventilator. She is slowly recovering, so I thought some prayers go to his family, but he missed a lot of camp and a lot of games in preseason.
And yes, he does, and he's an ultra-sensitive young guy, Kevin. This is a guy who feels things so deeply, and I mean, his teammates have really reached out to him to try to pull him through this very, very difficult time with his family.
Suns have 5 turnovers with Nash away. Here's a shot by Posey over Dragic, and he puts it in outside. He had 11 points last night. James Posey, who they had to clear some room to get financially so he could sign the $25 million contract, is out there, but they think he's the missing piece. Diaw working on Butler. Eli in the mismatch, and there's a travel. It's on Dragic.
Isn't it amazing when you play with a great point guard, just how easy the game looks? Here comes Steve Nash back in. I think Terry Porter recognizing his team is really out of sync. Once again, Chris Paul is out there with that second unit.
Stoudemire comes in now for Amundsen.
And this is exactly what Byron Scott wanted to do.
It's Paul inside, defended by Dragic. And there is a New Orleans violation. Timeout taken. Technical foul. It's on Paul. 6:42, Craig, to play here in the second quarter. What do you have?
Well, Kevin, you and Doug were talking about the turnovers and how you have a comfort level with Steve Nash on the floor. Remember, Terry Porter was going to rest him, just like Mike D'Antonio used to say, oh, yeah, I'm going to rest him. Well, last night he played 34 minutes, but with Nash in the game last night against San Antonio, Phoenix was plus 17. When he was out of the game, they were minus 12. Wow. It's a 29-point difference. So you can see why coaches tend to put Nash back in, even though they say they want to rest him.
And Sags, just to follow it up, that was with 42 points off their bench. I mean, so you can just see how valuable Nash is, and it's so difficult to look down there and not want to rush him out there and have him be your safety net, that life jacket that will save you from going under.
Refs comes in for Eli for New Orleans. Posey guarding Diaw. A knock away and a foul called on Posey. He's just playing some tough defense inside, and he picks up his first personal foul, and the crowd a little sarcastically now clapping that finally they've called something on the New Orleans Hornets. Here is Boris Diaw at the free throw line. And the thing is that Mike D'Antoni was such a big Diaw fan And now that he's gone, it's interesting to see how Terry Porter is using Boris Diaw.
Using him more as a power forward. Mike D'Antoni used him in multiple positions, but Mike really only played 7 guys. So Boris was that guy that could, slide over and play the power forward, maybe play the 3 spot, handle the ball on many occasions. And you're going to see him more as a power forward with this group rather than maybe that versatility that you saw out of him with Mike D'Antoni.
Screen by West over Diaw. The shot by Butler. The rebound by Stoudemire, who collects his 2nd rebound tonight. Here's Nash. 6 points and 5 assists so far. Butler watching Diaw again. Rebound by Paul. Chris Paul ahead to West into Hill. That's a charge. Offensive foul called on David West. Now he has 2 and a timeout taken at the 5:56 mark here of the 2nd quarter. New Orleans has been up by as many by 12. The Suns have never led.
Well, Coach K is smiling down at Duke. Grant Hill stepping up and taking that charge, something that they pride themselves on there. Phoenix still trailing by 9, have been out of sync all night.
NBA on TNT, brought to you by Circuit City. We'll hook you up with our one price promise, web or store, same low price. And by Sonic. It's not just good, it's Sonic good.
Suns have never led. They now trail by 9 here in Phoenix to the New Orleans Hornets.
A real neat story with the New Orleans Hornets. Kevin, you look out at David West on the back of his legs. If you'll see it, it says Carpe Diem, and it's seize the day, obviously, and it's really in memory of his college coach at Xavier, Skip Prosser, who also coached James Posey and Chris Paul at Wake Forest. But it's seize the moment, and obviously Skip Prosser died tragically a couple summers ago out jogging, and had such an influence on these 3 players. And so David West says, that's what I think of coach, is seize the moment, and that's sort of what he thinks of right now. Every single day, take advantage of this moment. And Skip Prosser was quite a guy.
Great story. Suns with 1 field goal and 9 turnovers over the last 7 minutes. Paul, West uncovered. Rebound by Shaq, who takes the place of Diaw. Stojakovic has come in for Butler. Those are the only 2 changes. Here's Nash trying to sneak it inside. It's kicked. 5:20 to play here in the 2nd quarter.
It's interesting. The first quarter, both teams played well. I mean, New Orleans really got out and moved the ball, had 30 points. The Suns 22. And when both teams went to their benches, the game has really slowed down. Only 7 points in this quarter for New Orleans, 6 for Phoenix. So now with the starters back on the floor, let's see if this game will pick back up once again.
Barnes for Hill, and Armstrong has come in for Devin Brown. Barnes a 3. Late defense by Paul. Rebound by David West. Here comes Paul with Posey. West, Stojakovic, and Armstrong, who started tonight because Chandler is in civvies on the sideline with the right ankle tweak that he got last night. There is a whistle and a foul. Nash picks up his first personal foul. Look at Tyson Chandler. Career year a season ago for this New Orleans team.
We'll just talk a little bit about the Hornets start. They hit their first 6 shots since that point in time, Kevin, since they've gone to their bench, and 8 for 26, but they still lead by 9 because they played excellent defense, and Phoenix has never gotten into a rhythm in this game.
They got up by as many as 12. TNT this December. Sometimes bad guys make the best guys look good. See Academy Award winner Timothy Hutton in an all-new TNT series Leverage. It's Sunday, December 7th at 10, 9 Central on TNT. 5 to play here in the 2nd.
Little zone defense here now by New Orleans.
Morris Peterson comes in for James Posey.
Slow the pace here, just give the Suns a little bit different look.
Starters out there for the Hornets. Nash. Armstrong didn't know if he should stay with Shaq or go outside. That indecision cost him, but the shot didn't go in and out of bounds, and it's off of Phoenix, and New Orleans will inbound.
You see what they're doing also, too, with Shaq back in the game. They're protecting really a smaller lineup. We saw early in that first quarter that Hilton Armstrong just could not handle the size of Shaq. So 2 or 3 possessions in a row of zone, and the Suns have not been able to score.
Shaq has 4 points and 4 rebounds. Here's Chris Paul. West. Shaq will come out and defend. Nice little deuce put in there by David West. Shaq. Armstrong and Stojakovic defending. That is a foul on New Orleans. Little Shaq sandwich inside with 4:21 to play in the second quarter, and the foul with Nash getting the assist. Foul goes on Armstrong, his second.
Now, one of the things that New Orleans is doing is they are fronting Shaq in the post, and that's about 3 times we've seen where he has just sprinted the lane and went right to the front of the rim. And as New Orleans has fronted, the Phoenix Suns have just thrown the ball over the top, and I'm not so sure that you don't want Shaq having to shoot over the top of you rather than letting him to catch that ball and lay the ball in the basket.
That's a good thought. Shaq 1 of 3 from the line.
Phoenix showing zone, and this is trying to keep Chris Paul out of the lane.
Right by Nash, into Shaq, out to Mo Pete. Nash was defending. Great shot by Morris Peterson. Had a tough time shooting last year, but puts in a triple right there. Peterson now with 8 points in this game. 8 of them.
Just have your hands ready.
Yep,
ball's coming.
Stoudemire the screen on Paul. West picks up Nash.
Oh, it's great to watch great point guards. You know, you do the NFL every Sunday, and here's a technical foul on Terry Porter. Now it's 2 games in a row that he's gotten technicals.
I'll ask you a question, and I've been thinking about this. If Phoenix could have a do-over and not make the Shaq trade and keep Sean Marion, who is so good defensively against point guards and forwards, I mean, he played the gamut, what do you think they would do in hindsight?
Well, they'd still win a lot of preseason games, but they would not be able to advance in the playoffs because there's too many big guys in the West. And you Terry Porter over there giving a little earful to one of the officials and gets a technical foul. But you know, you got to have size in the West. You look at, you got Yao Ming and you got Andrew Bynum and Gasol. I mean, you just go through the teams and you got to have size. And the Suns just didn't have that. They were a great team to watch play, but couldn't defend the paint and couldn't rebound well enough to get over the top. And Mike D'Antoni did a great job here with the system. They went over 58 games a year for 4 straight years.
Armstrong the screen on Nash. Peterson through the fire. Puts it in. It's a 3. Barbosa was defending. And Peterson's got 11. Wow.
Now they've called a technical on Steve Nash. You know, in some silly sort of way, this might get Phoenix and this crowd in the game. You know, right now they have been out of sync. They had the great win last night in San Antonio. This is the home opener. Steve Nash, I think, said something, felt like that Hilton Armstrong came in and moved on his pick. Steve went down and got the technical foul. So now Peja Stojakovic will go to the line, and then this is the technical free throw. But let's see if the energy in this building picks up. There is the screen right there, and Steve Nash tried to sell the contact, and the official said no, that was a legal screen, and Steve reacted with the technical foul.
Text tonight on Paul, Stoudemire, Porter, and Nash. Barbosa over Armstrong for 3. And that is off of a save. Phoenix. Terry Porter thought it was off of New Orleans.
Well, Phoenix is distracted right now. The game is not going their way, and they're going to have to focus on the game right now. They're going to have to leave all the officiating all alone and just make plays.
That's a counted for 2. Goaltend against Shaquille O'Neal. No one struck on Nash. Nash didn't get on Paul, and so Paul found himself open inside the lane. And Shaq will be called for the goaltend. This is the biggest lead for New Orleans tonight.
What they're going to do is try to get Shaq in as many pick and rolls as they can, and this is where Shaq's offense has to go to work and take advantage inside. Here's that front once again, and right down the lane line for the easy score.
Nash has 7 assists and 8 points. Paul has 9 points and 5 assists. Paul raising it inside to Armstrong through his hands in a turnover. Could not hold on. Turnover number 5 for the New Orleans Hornets.
Now, Hilton Armstrong's got to be ready. There's the pass once again. Steve Nash right down the lane line. And Kevin, I was going to say, every Sunday you see great quarterbacks, and you see the Peyton Mannings and the Tom Bradys when they're healthy and how easy they make the game.
You know, I think my expectation is for us to find a way to gel, find a way to have great chemistry, find a way to become the best team we can be. And in my eyes, you know, if we do that, we take care of every practice, shoot around game, play with the effort and intensity that it warrants to be a contender, we will be.
Trying to find that balance, Doug, trying to add some defense, which is already added to a pretty potent offense here in Phoenix.
Well, there was a lot of talk that they were going to struggle offensively to start the year because of some of the changes and how much work they were on defense. And last night they had 103 points against a good San Antonio defensive team. They had 24 assists and only 10 turnovers. Tonight already 9 assists, but 12 turnovers, so minus 11 points off turnovers.
Barbosa over and out, coming Peterson trying to close out, missing the two. Shaq getting around Armstrong, and Armstrong holding on Shaq, and the big man falls hard.
Let's see if this will be 2 shots in the ball. I think they're going to call this a flagrant. It'll be a flagrant one, so it'll be 2 shots in the ball. But Kevin, to follow up the turnover story, interestingly enough, I don't know if I've ever seen this before, but of all the turnovers here in the first half, 10 Phoenix Suns players have at least 1 turnover. The only guy without a turnover tonight is Amari Stoudemire, and here is Shaq, and there he just grabs him by the shoulders, made no attempt to play the ball. Shaq takes the hard foul, so it will be 2 free throws and possession of the basketball for the Phoenix Suns.
But Doug Armstrong already has 3 fouls, picked one up right there. Eli is going to check in just a second. There is no Tyson Chandler, even in the best of circumstances for New Orleans. Shaq watches it dribble in. Even in the best of circumstances, one of the main concerns of the Hornets is lack of front court depth. And like tonight now with right ankle for Chandler, 3 fouls on Armstrong, Eli back in the game.
Well, if you look at their front line also, too, not only depth as Shaq misses the second one, but they don't have a lot of bulk. I mean,
Right.
Tyson Chandler is very thin. Now, David West has got a nice size on him, but Melvin Eli is thin. And so they don't have, what you'd call a big, strong guy down on the post. Tyson Chandler is a very active shot-blocking player, offensive rebounder, but does not have the bulk.
Here's Nash, little zone now by New Orleans. Eli knocks it away from Stoudemire. Peterson is on Nash. West is watching Shaq. Tapped back up and in by Amari Stoudemire. So in 17 minutes, Amari Stoudemire has put in 10. The first Sun player to get in double digits. He also has 4 rebounds. Hornets have missed their last 4, and here comes Paul Stojakovic in, picked up by Barnes. Wow, Peja is red hot. 5 of 7, a game-high 14.
Yeah, he's deadly going to his left, and a lot of people say, why would a right-hander like to go there? Because your shooting hand is closer to the basket. So I always love to shoot going to the left, and Steve Nash goes to the left here and lays the ball in the basket. But
Paul got tangled up with West on the defense.
I think it's important here, a minute 20 or so to me, New Orleans, because they have really dominated this first half. And if Phoenix can get a couple stops here and get this under 10 psychologically, they'd be in really good shape going into the second half.
Nash with 10, Paul with 9, West whistle. 3 seconds. Offensive 3, and it's Byron Scott's New Orleans Hornets. Byron Scott, we told you earlier, Coach of the Year in the NBA and a 3-time champion with the Lakers. There's a lot of Pat Riley in the way that Byron Scott coaches.
Absolutely. Played at Arizona State, is so proud of the direction of that program.
Outside a miss by Nash. Over Paul. That is a foul, and it's on New Orleans. Maybe Eli inside with the foul. He picks up number 1. As we've got a pause right here, let's go to Ernie Johnson in our Atlanta TNT studios.
All right, thank you, Kev. Coming up in just a few minutes, the T-Mobile halftime report. You'll get first half analysis from Kenny Charles and C. Webb. We'll have highlights of the Rockets and Mavs, and we'll wrap up the night a bit later with Inside the NBA. Now, back to Phoenix, Kevin.
EJ, thank you. Approaching 40 seconds to play here in the first half. Paul missed it inside. He had a lot of big bodies around him. And there's a whistle and a foul.
That's a bad foul. You put Amari Stoudemire at the free throw line, 41.1 seconds. So looks like it could be a 2-for-1 possessions for the Phoenix Suns here by getting these free throws. So a chance here for Phoenix to cut this lead. It's at 9 now. A couple free throws makes it 7. They get a stop. They could make it 5. And again, I feel like New Orleans has really had the upper hand in this first half.
Eli picks up the foul here. Now before we said Eli, but they put it and they changed it on Peterson. That was a change and a foul earlier on. Here is Stoudemire at the line. Now Stoudemire 2 of 2 from the strike. Phoenix high 12. Nash has 10. 14 the game high. Stojakovic. Paul through traffic. West, Stoudemire comes out on him. Amari Stoudemire picks up the foul with 27.7 left to play in the first half.
That's where
second on him.
Excuse me, Kevin. That's where you really want to play good, solid defense and force David West to have to shoot a jump shot. The New Orleans has struggled the last couple possessions. Amari lost a little bit of his patience there, tried to play in from behind and got the foul. And David West has a chance to go and push this lead back to 9 once again.
Here's a guy that they have drafted and developed over the years. Check out TNT Overtime Extra on NBA.com and watch exclusive player camera following tonight's Hornets Suns game. Fans can vote for which players they want to watch each quarter. Chat with other fans from around the country. TNT Overtime Extra only on NBA.com. West, the season ago from the free throw line was 85%. Drills a couple beauties right there.
Both of these power forwards, both David West and Amari Stoudemire, both very, very good free throw shooters.
No fouls to give. 18 seconds left in the half. Difference of 3 seconds, game clock and shot clock, and here is a foul. That is down low on Barbosa.
I thought that New Orleans might play the little hack-a-shack there, make him take a couple free throws to get it back. They really didn't have to because they've ruled Barbosa here, moves on the pick. A lot of contact in both directions, and this could be a big break for New Orleans here with the last possession.
Paul is 3 of 7 over Nash for 3, and a big-time 3 for Chris Paul, who shot 37% from there last year. And that takes us to halftime. In a first half that saw the Hornets build their lead as great as 16 points, the Suns never led. 51% shooting for New Orleans, 48% shooting for the Suns, who were led by the 12 of Stoudemire. Shaq had 8, Nash had 10. Peja had 14. Boy, did he come out cooking tonight, Craig Sager. We send it over to you.
Well, Peja, early in the game when you went on the 9-0 run, Doug Collins said there's something about playing against Phoenix that New Orleans' eyes light up. Nobody better than you. You hit the game winner a year ago in double overtime, 4-0 against them. Why do you like playing against the Suns so much?
I don't know. Probably playing the same style they're playing. But we approached this game very aggressive from the very beginning, moved the ball, and we got ourselves a lead.
On the defensive end, they have not found a rhythm, it seems. What are you doing without Tyson Chandler to disrupt Phoenix's offense?
Help each other, make him move the ball, make him play half-court offense, and see what happens.
All right, Peja Stojakovic leading scorer with 14 points. And right now, Phoenix trailing at halftime. We'll take a short break, but when we come back to T-Mobile Halftime Report, EJ in our Atlanta studios with Kenny Charles and Chris Webber.
Time score, big lead 16 for New Orleans. Kevin Harlan, Doug Collins, courtside here at the U.S. Airways Arena in Phoenix, Arizona. Both teams played last night. One of the two here tonight looks like they've not lost any. They got a lot in the tank.
Yeah, the New Orleans Hornets have been the more energetic team. And interesting, I saw Grant Hill at halftime, and I said, what did you guys talk about at halftime? And he said, picking up our level of energy. He said it's very similar to what we did last year. Went on the road, won the first game in Seattle, came back home, and L.A. came in here after losing at home to Houston and had the Suns down by 30-something and beat them 119-98. So energy level, and I think a third quarter just getting in some rhythm offensively. They were out of sync the entire first half.
During halftime, you were working on your Sonic Straighter. Let's take a look and see what you've picked out here for tonight.
Well, I thought that any time that New Orleans tried to get in the front of the post, Suns did a good job of lifting that weak side, and Shaq just sealed, and they threw right down the lane line. 2 or 3 times like this, they found Amari Stoudemire. I think at this point in Shaq's career, you wanted him to shoot over the top of you, and then, Chris Paul, look, he gets in the lane. I mean, it's like a magnet drawing people. Just have your hands ready, and this time it was David West. Stepped out and knocked down the open jump shot. So Chris Paul just orchestrating the game beautifully as he always does, and you see the numbers. And I thought Phoenix had crept back into it in that first half, and then New Orleans hit him with like a little 7-0 run there at the end of the half to push it back to 12.
And on this Halloween Eve, let's go to our great pumpkin, Craig Sager.
Well, Terry Porter agreed they didn't think the team was sharp or focused. He goes, we also let a few things get in our way, which was a few technical fouls. He said, if we're going to get technical fouls, I want to get them, not the players. He said also the same thing Doug Collins, that when they're going to front Shaq in the post, he goes, that's an easy basket for Shaq. You want to keep going in. He goes, 14 turnovers, way too many. Obviously too loose with the ball and not focused. He said, but we'll be all right in the second half. Kevin?
All right, Craig, thank you. Here is Barnes. Nash has assisted on 26 of the 44 points tonight. A screen by Shaq. Paul knocked away. Nash knocks it. Now Paul and Nash are at one side, but they have this cross matchup at the other side.
Yeah, now Nash, but on scores, you can get back and do that. It's missed field goals where now that Steve Nash is going to have to guard Chris Paul. But what's happened with the Phoenix Suns is they're going on under these pick and rolls right now. They want Nash to have to shoot and not get the other guys involved. Byron Scott feels like he wants to pass more than shoot.
Over Nash, it's Peterson for three. Shaq trying to get the loose balls. Stojakovic cleans it up. And it's back to Paul. New Orleans won last night in Oakland against the Golden State Warriors. And the Phoenix Suns won last night in San Antonio over the San Antonio Spurs. Peterson by Barnes and over Stoudemire with a little teardrop on the fly, and he makes it go. And Peterson has really come out and been assertive tonight. 13 points for the New Orleans Hornets, and the foul goes on Barnes for the third time.
Well, Mo Pete known mainly for spotting up behind that three-point line and knocking down shots. He has got a little bit better. It is in the middle in-range game there of going into the paint. That was a very difficult shot, and it's just sort of interesting, Kevin, there's certain teams, they just play great against certain opponents, and it looks like unless something dramatically changes, New Orleans feels incredibly comfortable playing against the Phoenix Suns.
Here's Nash over West on the switch on defense. Steve now has gone 6 of 10 with 14. That is a Suns high.
Again, the game plan is Byron Scott said we want him to have to shoot and make shots rather than be an assist man. He's come out and hit his first 2 shots here in the third quarter.
A lot of swagger to this New Orleans team. West drives right inside on Stoudemire, who wants to make himself a defensive player this season. That's his real big liability. But West overpowering. Here is Bell. That's over Peterson. That's a 3.
I'm sure Byron Scott is not real happy. He just gave a defensive lecture at halftime, and the Suns have come out and hit their first 3 shots.
Raja Bell 1 of 3. That's his first knock-in tonight.
Raja has not gotten in sync. Last night, played 31 minutes with 1 of 4. Tonight, only 1 field goal, but
there's a 6th rebound by Amari Stoudemire. Nash into Paul. And that is a foul, and Chris Paul will pick up the foul. Number 1. Doug, you mentioned earlier it was a 4-0 sweep last year for this New Orleans team over the Phoenix Suns.
Well, look at the numbers. Now, a couple of those games were close. One of them 132 to 130 in double overtime. But look, shoot 45% from the three-point line, New Orleans. The second chance points plus 9 there. Look at Chris Paul, 29 points, 11 assists he averaged. David West had a big 4 games as well. And it's just sort of interesting how certain teams don't match up well with others. And I've always found that teams that run don't necessarily like to be run on, and teams that run a lot of screen roll don't like teams to run a lot of screen roll. So we talked to Byron Scott before the game. He said, we just tried to do what they were trying to do to us, and we did it just a little bit better last year.
Armstrong with the screen. It hesitated Barnes' movement over to Paul, and Chris Paul with 14. Stojakovic with 14. Peterson with 14.
Well, if Chris Paul makes that jump shot, especially at the three-point line, there's absolutely no way you can guard him.
9:24 to play here in the third, and Craig, what do you have?
Well, Doug mentioned that Byron Scott wanted to make Steve Nash a shooter first. Byron Scott feels that when that happens, Phoenix goes from a great team to just an average team. Last year when Steve Nash was the leading scorer for Phoenix, they were just 6 and 5, and when he scored 20 more points, they were mediocre 13 and 12. So that's what he wants, Nash, obviously, to do the scoring instead of making everybody else better.
Peterson had picked up his second foul moments ago. I think Nash might be the best shooter in the NBA now.
He's one of them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, last year he was over 50% from the field, over 40% from three-point territory, 90% from the free throw line. He might be the league's best shooter.
Stojakovic, you'd have to put him in that conversation. And
screen by Shaq on Paul. Yeah, right. Stojakovic is right there.
When you talk about two-point shooting, 3 and free throws.
Yes. Chris Paul a couple years at Wake Forest, screened by West. Now the switch on defense, and that is a 3-second. Defensive 3. It's on the Suns. Terry Porter was an assistant with Detroit, and Flip Saunders, and comes down here as the coach. And not changing the culture necessarily, but certainly changing the game plan, revamping the way they play.
I think he has one of the toughest jobs in the NBA. You take over for a guy like Mike D'Antoni, who was ultra successful. We talked about they averaged 58 wins for 4 years, and now all of a sudden the team has changed. The way they're playing, they're a bigger team, more of a power team, and they're getting older. So I think this is a very, very tough job that Terry Porter has taken on.
Paul tried to save it. Armstrong, shot clock at 2. What do? 24-second shot clock violation. Doug, I think you're right. Age has got to be an issue with this Phoenix team. Nash will be 35 in February. Hill is 36. Shaq will be 37 in March. Raja Bell is 32. This is one of the issues for this team.
Well, you're trying to improve your defense, and one of the things you have to be able to do is stop that pick and roll situation with your 1 and your 5 man as Matt Barnes unloads a 3 and misses.
Rebound by Stojakovic. Barnes is uncovered. Here comes Paul into Barnes. Outside and open Morris Peterson. 3 right down the pike by Peterson, who now has a game-high 17.
See, the transition game, that's where you get the threes. That's where Stojakovic and Mo Peterson run to that three-point line, especially in the quarter. And Chris Paul knows exactly where they are.
Plus 9 points now. New Orleans over Phoenix in three-point shooting. Here's Nash, picked up by Paul, handed off to Armstrong, who knocks it away, and retaken by Stoudemire with a second on the shot clock. He got it up, and he gets his own miss up and in. He's stuck with it. He's got 14. Nash has 16. Here comes Paul.
The amazing thing about it is Shaquille O'Neal is playing a lot more minutes tonight than I thought he was going to play. Here's the turnover by Chris Paul. But we talked to Terry Porter before the game, and I wonder if it's because Tyson Chandler's not playing. It's a much better matchup for him.
18 minutes so far for Shaq, Doug, and you're right. They told us that was going to be the case. The right ankle injury for Chandler is keeping him on the bench. And the foul went on Raja Bell, who picks up his second personal foul. You look at this New Orleans team, they will not be a surprise this year. I mean, they got the target on their back, and they realize now they are not the hunter, but the hunted.
Well, they're trying to spin it that they're still the hunter because they said they didn't win the championship and that they got beat by San Antonio and did not get to the NBA Finals. So they're trying to spin it, but they're not going to sneak up on anybody this year.
Wrapped around Stoudemire, rebound by Shaq. He claims his 7th. Here comes Barnes, shifting gears on Paul. Rebound by Armstrong. Out of his hands. Armstrong got his second rebound, and Phoenix will have it with 7:17 to play here in the third quarter from the U.S. Airways Arena. Phoenix, a season ago, the #1 shooting team in the NBA, #1 three-point shooting team as well. Here's Nash.
And fell to 3rd in scoring, but Steve Nash in his first 3 years here had directed an offense that had led the NBA in scoring.
4-on-2, led by Paul, the trailing West. Snaps it outside, a 3 by Peterson. And Shaq is there to clean it up. 8 rebounds for O'Neal.
As you can see again, that transition game, you get those wide open threes. And again, Kevin, that corner 3 is the shortest 3 on the court. That's why so many teams run to that corner. It also gives your point guard a lot of room to work to get to the lane.
Look how much bigger Shaq is than Armstrong. Toyed with him down there. Shaq. Out of bounds. Turnover number 17 as he steps out here on the baseline.
He's got a size 23 shoe. Got to give himself just a little bit more room than that. I would have been inbound. Shaq, you are out.
Shaq is out on Armstrong. Screened by Tasia, and Armstrong had the choice of handing off to Paul driving, and that's what he did. He took it inside. Armstrong played in back of Okafor at UConn.
How about that? For all these young guys who go to a school and maybe don't play a little bit, and they think I better transfer. This young guy, Hilton Armstrong, stayed at Connecticut all 4 years, played behind Okafor, got better every year, started as a senior, and became a #1 draft pick. So sometimes you just stick around, continue to get better. He probably played the best player, Okafor, in practice every single day. Probably helped him playing against him. A little bit like what Schwen Nader did in, when he played behind Bill Walton at UCLA. Schwen Nader never played because he's behind Bill Walton and was the #1 pick in the first-round draft pick in the NBA.
Yeah, when you start bringing up Schwen Nader, that to me This adds more color to this broadcast than it can possibly contain.
Well, he actually should have been the starting center on our Olympic team. Made the team as our starting center and quit.
Good story. Shaq picked up his first foul. I like that story. Calls on Nash. Screen by Stoudemire.
This is where the Suns are still a work in progress. This half-court game, you can see they're just not smooth yet.
Stoudemire got it stripped by West. Here comes 3-on-3 led by Paul out to Stojakovic over the late arriving Nash. Rebound by Peja. Little mid-range shot won't go. Rebound by Stoudemire. 9 for him.
Page is not nearly effective dribbling with his right hand, moving to his right, shooting. He loves that little step back going to the left.
Oh, we're just glad to see him healthy. Nash guarded by Paul, reaching in with Stojakovic and Armstrong. That'll count as Nash was wheeling inside with 5:44 to play here in the third quarter.
Give Shaq an assist on this. Shaq is actually the one who pushes Armstrong. He has two hands in his back and pushes Armstrong into Nash. Almost gets Steve Nash hurt on this play.
Timeout taken. Hornets on top.
Tough.
Hornets have led the entire way, now by 11, before by 16. Armstrong just picked up his fourth personal foul. Watch Shaq shove Armstrong into the driving Nash.
Yeah, and Steve Nash took that one in the rib cage. You see him holding his chest there to knock the wind out of you, or it's where you could injure some ribs. But Steve looks like he's shaking it off, and he's getting ready to go to the foul line.
So with the 4 fouls on Armstrong and no Tyson Chandler available tonight, Melvin Ely is back in the game. And there are no changes for the Phoenix Suns. Nash, 9 in the quarter, 19 for the game.
You know, as poorly as the Suns have played with 18 turnovers, New Orleans has 15 points off those turnovers. They're plus 10 in that area. Still within striking distance, although David West, I tell you, he has really improved his range on his shot. I mean, stepping out, and he's so confident with that jump shot now. Gets great lift on it.
He's got 12 right now. 5 of 12 is West. He averaged 20 points a game a season ago as an all-star. Stoudemire moving up. West came out to get him. Barnes by Paul. Barnes goes past Paul.
I would never run at Amari Stoudemire at 17 feet. I would make him make every jump shot. The guys bite on that pump fake, and he gets in that lane. That's where he is most lethal.
Stoudemire watching a double-teamed West. Here comes Paul. West over Shaq.
He gets in the lane. I mean, it's just all over. You just, if he gets in there, if you're the coach of the team defending, you just got to hope they miss the open jump shot, because that's what you're getting, an open 15-foot jump shot.
Here is Shaq, and Eli tries to defend. Bell over Chris Paul. Rebound by Peterson. West is such a good mid-range shooter. My goodness.
Yes, he is.
He's got 6 in the quarter, Doug. Stojakovic over Barnes for 3. Peja Stojakovic hits another 3. 18 in the game. And Peja with 4 3-point hits tonight. Stoudemire the screen. Nash pick and roll Stoudemire.
I'd make him make that shot all night. I would never run at him. Amari wants to get in the lane.
Here comes Chris Paul, an all-star a season ago with his teammate David West. Career year with 21 points a game for Chris. 14 tonight, 5 of 9 from the floor. 8 assists and 7 rebounds. Eli the screen on Barnes. Rebound by Amari Stoudemire, 10. He's got the double-double. 14 points. As that ball was deflected, Barnes works on the smaller Paul and trying to whip it inside, and ricochets out of bounds and off of New Orleans.
Here is James Posey coming into the game, replacing Mo Peterson. Boris Diaw comes in for Shaquille O'Neal, who'll get a rest, and see if Boris Diaw can get himself actively involved in this game. He was very quiet in that first half, 1 of 2, had 4 points off the bench, but they're going to need he and Grant Hill and Barbosa to come in and give them some spark. Another turnover.
Yep.
Kevin, what a sloppy
19,
game.
Doug.
Man,
19 Phoenix turnovers.
They're just not smooth in the half court right now.
And this is James Posey, picked up by Nash. Cross court, Stojakovic overruns Bell for 3. Rebound by Boris Diaw. His 4th Bell by Stojakovic into West. Well, he just took it right at the goal that time, did Raja Bell. Only his second hit. He's got 5.
They need him to play with a little bit more spirit, more little verve. I mean, he's such a barometer of their emotions.
Diao comes out on Paul. Eli makes a fake on Stoudemire. Melvin Eli with the basket, 2 of 3.
Come on, 41.
Barnes, who starts on this team to bring Grant Hill off the bench. Here comes, in fact, as soon as we say it, Hill will come off and check in momentarily. Diao, great passer for a big man. An open Bell over Stojakovic. There you go, Doug.
That's important. He gives this team an emotional lift, and he's been very flat, I thought, the other night. Tonight, you sort of see that look on his face. He is good when he's passionate,
right.
When you see him taking some hard fouls and playing with that great energy. And right now, he's making the adjustment to a new coach, a new system.
Posey guarded by Nash and Barnes. Outside, that's a 2 by Peja Stojakovic. He's got 20.
So what they're doing now is they're going into the post. Posey is being guarded by Nash. They're double teaming and just swinging the ball to the opposite side of the floor. And that time it was Stojakovic. Little pump fake, one dribble, and easy jump shot.
Bell again over the oncoming West, and a rebound by James Posey. Brought here for three-point shooting, some defense, and just overall leadership. He gives real texture to this New Orleans team.
You never have enough champions on your team.
Yep. He's a rebounder as well as Posey. Paul inside, all those orange jerseys around him. This time over Diao, and Nash plucks the loose ball. Diao ahead to Bell around Stojakovic. Now they got Raja Bell getting off, so he's had a very good third quarter. Bell has put in 10, 7 in the quarter. Minute to play here in the third. Paul with 14 and 8 assists. A little two-man game with Eli or Posey. He picks Eli, picked up by Stoudemire. Shot clock violation. Ball never hit the rim. That's a violation on the New Orleans Hornets. 45 seconds to play. Tonight's high-definition aerials of Phoenix, Arizona are presented by Turbo HD by Dish Network. Kevin Harlan, Doug Collins, and did it with great authority. That's your Team DNA presented by EA Sports NBA Live 09, made fresh daily. Final seconds here of the third quarter. Here is Diao over West. Boris Diao.
Kevin, again, I think if Phoenix is going to win this game right now, you've got Grant Hill on the floor, you've got Boris Diao. It's a very potent team right now. This is a chance to make a little push. And again, as well as New Orleans has played and as poorly as Phoenix has played, this game is still in the balance.
Both teams have a foul to give. Shot clock is at 7. Winding his way is Paul. Left open was West because they double team Paul. That happens a lot, doesn't it?
I mean, they triple team him. They put 4. Every time he gets in the paint, I mean, it's like the whole defense collapses like an accordion, and the space opens up for guys wide open jump shots.
All to get. Here comes Stoudemire bumping into Eli. Rebound by West. David West was terrific. He has 16 points in the game and 8 points in that quarter. The big lead of the Hornets has been 16. At the end of 3, 81-69. You're watching the NBA on entire way against Terry Porter's Phoenix Suns. He is standing by with our Craig Sager.
Oh, Terry, look, you're looking for somebody to give you a lift. Raja Bell with a 10-point quarter. The game is manageable now, 12 points. What's the plan here for the fourth?
Well, we got to get somebody to get hot for us. We're shooting ourselves in the foot. Every time we make a little run, we make a silly turnover, try to do too much with the ball. Got to get the ball moving. Turnovers has been the difference in this game. We really haven't done a good job of taking care of the ball. Obviously, they've made some shots, but our turnovers have really hurt us and giving those guys some points where, not giving our defense a chance to defend.
He had 42 points off the bench last night. Now the second game of back-to-back, that's where you expect the bench to be strong, but tonight they have only 10. You need more from them?
We need those guys to play better. Obviously, again, I go back to the turnovers, but those guys to play hard. We need some energy. We just need to get some steals and get some easy opportunities ourselves. All right, thanks.
Dragic was moving inside. Out there now for the Phoenix Suns. We got Bell and Stoudemire, Diao, Dragic, and Grant Hill. The second team is out there except for Stoudemire, of course, for the Phoenix Suns.
I wonder if something's going on with Leandro Barbosa. He has not been in the second half, and he's a guy who can really put up points in a hurry. And he had 18 points last night off the bench for the Phoenix Suns in 27 minutes. Had a big fourth quarter last night as he and Amari Stoudemire combined for 20 of the 29 points, but we have not seen him here in the second half.
Other starter in there for Phoenix is Bell. Here comes Butler with West, Paul, Eli, and James Posey. This group starting as a screen by Eli, and here comes Paul. West, guarded by Dragic. West picked up by Hill. Bell bumps into Paul. Rebound by Grant Hill.
The Suns have gotten a couple stops here now. Let's see if they can come down and get something on the offensive end. Looks like they want to go inside to Amari Stoudemire,
who works on Eli. There's a foul on Stoudemire.
Melvin Eli's done a nice job tonight.
Yeah.
I was kidding early in the first half, but he was doing his best Moses Malone imitation. But he's done a couple of nice defensive possessions here against Amari Stoudemire, and now we are seeing Leandro Barbosa, and he's the guy that can really give them a spurt of 8 to 10 quick points.
So Bell is out, and in is Barbosa. The foul went on Stoudemire for the third time. West with a screen on Dragic. Paul throws it away. Picked off by Grant Hill. Posey's on him. Grant Hill tonight, 1 of 1. Got 4 points.
He's played 13 minutes, only taken 1 shot. I mean, Grant's got to get more involved than that.
Here's Butler. Knocked away by Diaw. Picked up by Dragic. Driving into Paul. And it looked like maybe Diaw picked up the foul. Now let's see. Nope, they're going to call it on Paul. It was hard to see there, but Paul picks up the personal foul.
It'll be curious here to watch now. The end of this game is, 9:55 to go. Byron Scott has not been able to give Chris Paul any kind of rest. Remember, he gave him a really quick rest in that first quarter. Took him out about the 6-minute mark, put in Mike James. All of a sudden, this lead now is down under double digits, so I don't think that Byron Scott's going to be able to give Chris Paul any rest tonight. He's probably going to have to go to the distance.
Dragic missing right there. Hornets are 0 of 3 from the field in this fourth quarter with 2 turnovers.
They got a little sloppy. Let's see if they can get a good possession here and get a field goal.
Posey a 3 over Hill. Rebounded by Leandro Barbosa. Ahead to Hill. What happened last night when Phoenix was in a tight game with San Antonio? They kind of reverted to what they had done before.
I think if Phoenix scores here, you might see Byron Scott take a timeout.
That's Stoudemire over Rasul Butler. Or play through it.
Well, you've got Chris Paul out there. I think he feels very comfortable they're going to get a good shot. But right now, the Phoenix Suns defense has sort of taken them out of the rhythm they were in earlier.
7-point game.
Here's the big matchup right here. Diaw and West. He forced a very difficult shot, but then they're not able to come up with a rebound. I think it's going to be a 24-second shot clock violation.
It is. And that is the call. It's a defense right there by the Phoenix Suns. We're down to 8 points early in the third quarter. It's a 7-point game right now with under 9 to play. Suns have trailed the entire game, and by as many as 16. And Craig Sager, you were on the call that night with Ron Thuen, our good friend Ron Thuen.
Well, Kevin, I was wrong here. The New Orleans Hornets, Byron Scott is giving Chris Paul a little bit of a rest. He's coming in with Mike James. Posey's out there along with Stojakovic back in the ball game. So let's see how much rest that Chris Paul will get.
West and Butler remain. Shot clock at 9. Stoudemire, Hill, Diaw, Dragic, and Barbosa out there for the Suns. Dragic over West inside with the left hand. A pretty play by the rookie from Slovenia.
They just want him to keep the game simple. Make the simple play, and that was a nice little head fake and beautiful little floater in the lane.
Hornets have been scoreless for 3.5 minutes. Here is Mike James seeking out West. We had a dynamite third quarter. Works on Stoudemire, double by Dragic and a foul. It'll be on the rookie. 8:14 here in the fourth. Saints, what do you have?
Well, Doug mentioned Chris Paul getting a rest. Byron Scott has the same situation that Terry Porter has with Steve Nash. He wants to rest him at times. He feels he can't. There's an exhibition game back on October 14th. They played the Washington Wizards in Berlin. He wanted to rest. Chris Paul didn't know how to do it. So Paul came over. He goes, let me look at your shoe. He goes, why? He goes, I think there's something wrong with the inner sole. Took the shoe, gave him to the trainer, and said, give him to the locker room. I don't want him to come back in. Next thing you know, Chris Paul's looking for his shoes to come back in. Sort of like, in football when they take the helmet away. You can't go in without your shoes.
Good story.
This is a great time for Amari Stoudemire defensively. Kevin, I'll tell you what, he's talked so much about, he even said, I want to be like a Ron Artest defender. I want to be where guys fear when I guard them. Well, right now, they're going to go to David West down on that low block. And it's a great chance for Amari Stoudemire defensively to dig in and really help his team on that end of the floor.
There is Stoudemire with 16. West has 18. 20 points, game high from Stojakovic. Posey is watching Hill. Stojakovic is on Stoudemire. Now the defensive switch, and here's Stojakovic on Hill. Shot clock at 10. Dragic.
Peja Stojakovic hurt his right ankle.
You're right, Doug. Diao. Oh, great pass inside. A rip-away pass to Stoudemire. Doug, you called it. Stoudemire with 18. The Hornets led by 15, 77-62 with 2.5 minutes left in the third quarter. The Suns 14 to make it 16-6.
Now Boris Diaw with a great pass. You see Peja Stojakovic there holding that ankle. Here's the powerful finish from Amari Stoudemire. Now on the defensive end, he's got to play David West to do it on that end of the floor for his team.
And by PlayStation 3. Get ready to play beyond.
New Orleans, nothing from the field in 4.5 minutes. Phoenix to within 5. Time now for the Autotrader.com play of the game. It was moments ago. Amari Stoudemire with the two-handed flush.
Well, he was the finisher last night. He had 11 of his 22 points in the last 7 minutes of that game. Let's see if he can do the same here tonight. It's been an important win for Phoenix. They win this game tonight. They've got the Blazers at home on Saturday before they have to head east on a 4-game trip.
James into West. Stojakovic has gone to the locker room over Dragic. Rebound by Boris Diaw.
Another good defensive possession, forcing David West to shoot a fading jump shot. Important for the Suns right now, too, doing this without Steve Nash.
Good run by Phoenix. Stoudemire shoved by West. Well, if that was an acting job or not, as you take a look at West, that's the third on West. Nash is watching from the side.
You see the rolling of the ankle, reminiscent of Greg Oden the other night. We did that game. He rolled his ankle early in that game, had a mid-foot sprain, going to be out anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks for Portland.
Stojakovic played 77 games last year, coming off a season where he only played 69 games because of a back injury. He was out a couple of years ago. Here is Grant Hill. This is the closest it has been since midway through the first quarter. Hill is on Posey. It's Posey. A late arriving Hill and a three by James Posey from outside.
That's why they got James Posey. Those kind of shots. Ball goes inside, outside. I'm sure they needed the double team there. Amari's done a pretty good job on David West. Let him play him straight up.
New Orleans plus 12 on three-point shooting tonight. 9 of 17. Stoudemire goes in, handcuffed by West. And that is a foul. We just told you about Stojakovic working his way to the locker room, looking at that ankle. And Craig Sager's been on that story. Craig?
Well, Peja Stojakovic went back to the locker room, having the ankle retaped. He gave word to Byron Scott saying he is coming back and he does want to play. So apparently not very serious. Back there in the locker room still as it's being retaped.
West just picked up his 4th personal foul for the New Orleans Hornets.
Well, that's the concerns again of the New Orleans Hornets. You talked about Peja missing 69 games 2 years ago. And, Tyson Chandler's had some injury problems, as well as Chris Paul missed some games a few years ago with a broken foot, so that's the importance of staying healthy. And this is where you have to step up and make your free throws. Amari normally is a great free throw shooter. He gets the second one.
By the way, Stoudemire wearing the protective goggles because he tore his retina in the preseason. Iris. His iris. It's on his retina. He really didn't tell us. It's iris. Thank you. I told you the 4 fouls on West. He also sprained his ankle, did Amari. So he had some injury issues in the preseason. Rasul Butler over Stoudemire. Oh, what a three. What a great three by Rasul Butler. He's got his first 3 points.
Three-point line has been the difference in the game right now. It was turnovers. That has been sort of evened out a little bit. Boris Diaw finally going to work. So
on Posey.
He's bigger and stronger than Posey, though. He should be able to get that ball in the post. He's got Posey probably about 15 or 20 pounds.
Chris Paul is in. Nash is in. Nash gets a screen right there from West. Over Nash in the mismatch. Paul leaping higher than Steve, knocking it with the volleyball move and a fresh shot clock with which to work for the New Orleans Hornets.
Well, when you force a tough shot, you got to come up with a rebound. Now another 24 seconds. You're going to keep the Suns down here on defense once again.
Wide open three by West. Late arriving Stoudemire. Look at the hustle on the offensive glass by New Orleans. 2 consecutive offensive rebounds.
That can't happen at home. Your home opener. You can't be out hustled the balls when you're trying to make a comeback after being down the entire game. You've got to come up with those plays.
Here comes Paul, picked up by both Nash and Stoudemire. Snaps it out. Posey for 3. Good! Right between the eyes. Posey knocks it in.
He's already made his money up for that contract. Those last couple shots he's hit.
Posey has put in 10 off the bench, had 11 last night. Inside Diaw, grinding against Posey. Doug, you called it a second ago. Too big for Posey.
Yeah, too strong. They just go inside. It looks like Amari and Boris Diaw both have good matchups for them. The big thing is they've got to get some defensive stops. They've been trading 3 for 2. New Orleans has hit 3 threes here in critical situations.
Paul's got 14, 5 of 12. Posey another 3 over Nash. Rebound by Steve. Ahead it goes to Hill. Into Posey, rejected by Butler. Rasul Butler has swats that ball away with a great defensive play.
Well, a nice play that time by Rasul Butler to take away that easy score. Grant Hill was speeding down that left side of the lane there.
Phoenix has had a terrific shooting fourth quarter, Doug. 7 of 9 from the field.
3 timely threes by New Orleans has kept them in bay right now as Nash, fresh off the bench, knocks down another jump shot. A 5-point game, a little under 4 minutes to go.
Hit that on the closeout by Butler, too. A taller player, lankier player. Good shot by Steve, who's got 21. 8 of 14. Through traffic by Stoudemire and by Nash. It's Chris Paul with another brilliant play in 16.
Got to protect the basket. Cannot give up layups as you're trying to come from behind. I mean, Chris Paul just plays at such a great rhythm, Kevin. I mean, he's one of those guys, both he and Nash, the tempo at which they play. And here is James Posey unloading that long 3.
That was a 3 and a couple threes there. That play moments ago by Paul. The first 2-point field goal in the Sensei Community Assist Award monthly to recognize players for their charitable efforts and give a $1,000 check donation to his charity of choice, the NBA, where caring happens. A lot of caring, too, by Chris Paul. 3.5 to play in regulation, 94-87, the New Orleans Hornets.
Well, let's take a look at the matchups. New Orleans has got a small lineup on the floor with no Tyson Chandler. They have David West out there and really James Posey as their 4-man. So they have 3 shooters out there on the floor. They're going to play a lot of 2-man basketball with David West and Chris Paul, and if it really helps, they're going to spot up those 3-point shooters that we've already seen in this period. There's a turnover by Steve Nash.
And for Nash, that is his second turnover tonight.
What's going to be a little bit 2-man game here with West and Paul. If they give help, look for the 3-point shooters.
Here is Butler, and that is nailed over Diaw.
He's got his 3-point shooters out there instead of playing pick and roll right now with Tyson Chandler, who's out there doing it with David West. They're getting the Suns defense strung out and just finding the open man. Another turnover by Steve Nash. There's 2 in a row, and that is the turnover story, is the game. Terry Porter talked to Craig Sager about it. The Suns have just not been sharp all night long. Looked like they made a rush, but looks like the New Orleans might be able to hold them off here, although there's still a lot of game left, Kevin.
Here's Paul. They let him fire. Rebound by Stoudemire. And here comes Steve Nash. Finished tonight 8 of 14 with 21 points. Popping it inside, knocked away. Morris Peterson's in the game, and here comes Chris Paul.
3 straight turnovers by Steve Nash.
Chris Paul tonight with 16, Nash with 21.
This is going to happen with the Suns, though. It's a work in progress, Kevin. 87 points.
Morris Peterson from 3 over the backboard. Paul's got the double-double. Stoudemire has a double-double for the Phoenix Suns. And a look at Terry Porter. They won last night in San Antonio. But staggering here tonight in their home opener. And New Orleans, Doug, may go back home 2-0.
Yeah, it'd be amazing. You get that game in Golden State last night. That's not a easy place to win, even without Baron Davis and an injured Monte Ellis. Here's Steve Nash moving to the three. He knocks it down. So, Kevin, with those turnovers, it's still a 7-point game. So New Orleans better take care of the ball here. Still a lot of time.
Nash with 24. Suns until right there had not hit a 3-point shot in this 4th quarter. Westers played well, had a great third. He has 18 for the game. Posey over Nash for 3. Another 3 by James Posey. And Posey in the game has put in 13, collected a couple rebounds as they begin to hit the aisles and the exits here with a 10-point lead. That's a 3 by Bell. It's down to 7. Bell caught a little bit of fire in the second half.
Yeah, they're going to need him. He's so important to their emotional.
Oh, Peterson drives on Diaw, who picks up the Phoenix foul.
He brings that emotional fire, Raja Bell does. And he just, finally in that 3rd quarter, he got it going a little bit too late. But Mo Peterson, now we've seen 2 tough shots he's made in the lane. You know, again, it's when New Orleans sees the Suns, those 3-point shots go in. I mean, they averaged 118 against them last year. They shot 45% from 3.
And in this quarter, Doug, New Orleans 5 of 9 from 3-point territory.
And the biggest one was by James Posey.
Yes.
He hit that shot to really sort of put the rush that the Suns were making at the New Orleans Hornets. And then Rasul Butler goes to work. You just see spread out behind that 3-point line, play 2-man basketball. That time it's Rasul Butler. Then it's James Posey. Your turn, my turn. And they lead by 9.
Doug, 2.5 hours ago, you unveiled your keys. They look to be spot on tonight.
Well, transition defense, what that means is as New Orleans got back, they forced Phoenix to play in a half court. They're not comfortable in that right now as they're still trying to grow in the new system. 23 turnovers, 3-point shooting, 6 plus 18.
Yep.
And big ones here in this 4th period. The bench charge, 15 points in the 4th quarter by the New Orleans bench. And then point-to-point, Chris Paul, the numbers 16 and 10, Steve Nash. And remember what Byron Scott said? He said, we want Steve Nash to be a scorer, not a distributor. 24 points, 8 assists, and 3 critical turnovers back-to-back-to-back in that 4th quarter as Phoenix was trying to catch up.
You alluded big threes. Posey, as we went to break, we saw he had 3 threes in this quarter. The first came in about 4 minutes or so left in this game in regulation. And now here's Peterson, who's had a very nice night scoring, especially early. He's got 19 points. There's number 20 right there for Morris Peterson. 28 minutes and 7 of 10 from the field. He averaged only 8 points a game last season. A little down year for him, but at that 2-guard, that's big-time scoring for this New Orleans team. The drive in here by Diaw. National coverage of the NBA's Premier Week continues. Friday, ESPN Bulls Celtics, followed by Spurs Blazers. Saturday, NBA TV Wizards Pistons, followed by Blazers and Suns. Coverage at 7 o'clock Eastern time on NBA TV. Here's Paul. And they'll eat up some time. Stojakovic wanted to come back in the game, and Craig Sager has just told us that they have not allowed it. They want to keep him in there, get the treatment. They didn't play with Tyson Chandler tonight, Doug, because he tweaked the right ankle last night in Oakland against the Golden State Warriors. But even without him, and later on without Stojakovic, as Bell picks up his third personal foul, that will send Peterson to the free throw line. New Orleans survives.
Yeah, but what you do in a game like this tonight when Stojakovic goes out and you have to come in with Rasul Butler and he hits a couple big shots, what does that do? That helps the confidence of your bench. You have no Tyson Chandler tonight. So you start Hilton Armstrong and Melvin Eli plays, they get a chance to play. And the two areas for New Orleans is defensive consistency and improving their bench. That's the big concern for Byron Scott, is how he puts all the pieces together. And tonight, this bench came through and really helped him, especially in the fourth period.
And Doug, following up on that, Eli and Armstrong got in some early foul trouble, so Scott did a nice job juggling their minutes when he was faced with a couple guys taking the place of the injured Chandler that had to do a job tonight and try to really get the most out of this game as Bell picks up number 4. Here's what's upcoming for the New Orleans Hornets.
Well, you talk about sense of urgency, too, with teams. And remember, New Orleans came into the season, the last taste in their mouth was losing Game 7 at home to San Antonio. So what do? They come into the preseason, and they said, look, we want to win as we're getting better. 7-0 in preseason, now go on the road twice, and now they're 2-0, so they've won their first 9 games this year. I know the preseason doesn't count, but it set the tone for their season.
Nash tonight with 24 points. This one he puts up in the stratosphere for a alley-oop and Stoudemire. Stoudemire's got 21. Nash 24. Shaq tonight played 22 minutes. We didn't think he'd play that much. He had 8 points and 8 rebounds. And for the Hornets, 20 for Stojakovic, 21 leads them from Morris Peterson, 21 points in 28 minutes for Mo Pete, 18 for West, 18 for Paul. Paul also had the double-double with 10 assists. Shaq went out, Doug, at the 3.5-minute mark in the third quarter. He did not return from them.
Well, when New Orleans went small, there really was no one for him to be able to play against. And if he wasn't going to be able to punish him inside scoring, then he has become a liability defensively because they're going to get him in all the pick and rolls. That's what people do. They try to get him involved in every screen roll they can, especially get he and Nash involved. And tonight, it just wasn't needed here in the second half.
Wide open, Hill for 3. There's another rebound by Stoudemire, his 12th. Butler is in. Here is Stoudemire into Hilton Armstrong. I got to tell you, I miss the 7 seconds or less. It was such a creative and fun way to watch basketball. And they're going to a more conventional team right now because of the makeup and their coach.
And it's going to take a while. I mean, last night you beat San Antonio. I think everybody gets excited. It's going to happen real quickly. They're going to have games like this, and they're going to have to fight through it. And you know what? We got to give a little kudos to Mike D'Antoni. He goes to New York, wins his home opener. 120 points last night for Mike D'Antoni. Nice going, Coach.
Hornets never trailed tonight. The Suns shot 54%, but they had 24 turnovers. Some key ones down the stretch by Steve Nash. Hornets shot 47%, and they were led by Chris Paul. Paul in the game had 10 assists, and let's send it over to Craig Sager.
With two guys that both had 20 or more points, Chris Paul 20, Mo Pete 21. You come in here without Tyson Chandler. You played last night, and you go home 2-0. I mean, how important is this start for you guys?
Man, it's very important. You know, you got to get as many wins as possible, especially in this Western Conference. But doing it without Tyson showed a lot of fight, you know, in our team. Mo played outstanding. The bench was great, and this was a big win for team early in the season.
Doug Collins obviously is a great player, 4-time All-Star. He said, how much fun is it to play with Chris Paul? You just got to have your hands ready. What's it like?
It's unbelievable, you know, the kid can play. You know, he does a great job. He does a great job of finding guys, and he makes our job a lot easier. All we got to do is be ready to shoot.
We know what Chris Paul was doing all summer, winning a gold medal for the United States. But what were you doing, and how did you guys get better from maybe a year ago and take that next step?
Just work. You know, our last game we played against San Antonio, it burned. You know, that's what I thought about every day I went to the gym. And I just wanted to be ready to play. Watching those guys win the gold medal really inspired me.
Obviously, preseason results don't count, but Doug also mentioned you were 7-0. What did you try to do there to maybe establish the tone for the season?
We tried to form an identity. You know, whether it's preseason, regular season, we want to win. You know, and I think our team did an outstanding job of coming together during the preseason and right now it's translating to the regular season, so we'll see how long it can last.
Right now identified with a 2-0 start. Congratulations.
Check out this suit. Make sure you tell them, you know, you got that stitched in right before the game.
Oh, yeah. Had to make it up myself. Good luck.
Thanks a lot.
Kevin.
You are a piece of work. Hornets led by 7 after the first quarter, 12 at halftime, 12 after 3. Their big lead was 16. And they win it tonight, 108-95. Hornets go to 2-0. Suns drop to 1-1. Join us next Thursday for a TNT NBA doubleheader between the Sixers and Magic. Doug and Al Beer in Orlando, followed by the Rockets and Blazers. Coverage at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Our producer tonight, Scott Cockrell. Our director, Ronnie Dale. And now for Craig Sager and Doug Collins, Kevin Harlan saying goodnight from Phoenix as we take you to our TNT studio with EJ and the crew.